Nnamdi Ikejuru was smiling to himself as he drove down the familiar road toward Elelenwo estate. The evening sun dipped low on the horizon, casting long shadows over the palm trees that lined the driveway. He'd left the office early, eager to surprise Chioma and make up for the long hours he had been spending at work. Today was going to be different. He had plans, a quiet evening, just the two of them, rekindling the bond that had once been so strong. As he approached the grand estate, his mind drifted to how her face would light up when she saw him. He could already picture her warm smile, her almond-shaped eyes sparkling with love. He had been absent lately, but tonight would be their chance to reconnect. Nnamdi unlocked the front door quietly, hoping to catch her off guard. The house was eerily silent, the kind of quiet that made his heart beat just a little faster. He stepped into the spacious living room, the bright light of the setting sun streaming through the large windows. And that's when he saw them. At first, his brain refused to register the scene before him. His beloved wife, Chioma, lay entangled with another man on the floor. Their bodies were locked together, intimate, unmistakable. His breath caught in his throat. Shock hit him like a tidal wave. His heart raced, pounding so loudly in his chest he could hear it. Who could this be? Who dared to touch the woman he loved? And then, as the man turned slightly, Nnamdi's eyes widened in horror. In the oil-rich region of Port Harcourt, eastern Nigeria, stood the sprawling Elelenwo estate, a symbol of wealth and tradition that had been in the Ikejuru family for generations. It was a grand estate, surrounded by lush greenery, oil palm trees, and a view of the bustling city not too far off. The estate was a place where the family gathered during holidays, enjoying laughter, food, and storytelling. But this season, something far darker unfolded within its walls. Chioma Ikejuru, a 28-year-old woman with smooth ebony skin, large almond-shaped eyes, and an elegance that came naturally to her, had been part of the Ikejuru family for 3 years. She had married Nnamdi Ikejuru, a 32-year-old oil and gas engineer, known for his diligence, intelligence, and calm demeanor. Nnamdi was tall, well-built, with deep brown eyes and skin that shone with health. His trimmed beard and easy smile made him well-loved not only by Chioma but by everyone who knew him. Nnamdi was a man who loved his family deeply, especially his older brother, Obi, a bond that was about to be shattered. Obi Ikejuru, 35, was the black sheep of the family. He was a charismatic and handsome man with a rich brown complexion, strong features, and a carefree personality. Obi had always been different from his brother, a man of the streets, running his own business and never staying in one place for too long. His eyes, a sharp, piercing black, seemed to hide stories of both triumph and trouble. Obi had recently returned from Lagos to take a break from the stresses of city life, finding solace at the family estate. The bond between Chioma and Obi grew during those lazy afternoons in Port Harcourt. At first, it was innocent. They talked about his business struggles, her work as a teacher, and shared jokes about growing up in the East. Nnamdi, caught up with managing all contracts and working long hours, often left early and returned late, leaving Chioma and Obi with more time together than anyone realized. One sultry evening, after sharing a meal of spicy goat pepper soup and palm wine, something changed. Obi leaned in and kissed Chioma. The kiss was brief, a spark in the darkness, but it set off a chain of events neither could stop. That kiss was the beginning of their hidden affair. Stolen moments in the quiet corridors of the house, late-night whispers under the moonlit sky. Chioma knew what they were doing was wrong. Nnamdi was a kind, loving husband, and Obi was his elder brother. But there was something in Obi's wildness that excited her, a part of her that felt alive when they were together. She was drawn into the whirlwind of emotions he stirred within her, and soon, their brief stolen kisses evolved into something far more intimate. For weeks, they carried on their affair, hiding it from the rest of the family. But secrets don't stay buried for long, and one afternoon, everything came to light. It was a day like any other. The sky was bright, and the sun beat down on the estate. Nnamdi returned home earlier than expected. As he stepped into the large living room, he saw something that shattered his world. Chioma and Obi, locked in an intimate embrace, their bodies entwined on the floor. Nnamdi stood frozen in the doorway, his heart pounding in his chest. His tall frame seemed to shrink as the reality of what he was witnessing sank in. His eyes, once filled with love and trust, were now clouded with betrayal and anger. What is this? Nnamdi's voice trembled, barely audible above the sound of his own heartbeat. Chioma scrambled to pull herself together, her heart racing. Nnamdi, it's not what you think. Please, let me explain. Explain. Nnamdi's voice grew louder, his fists clenched at his sides. Explain how my own wife and my own brother could betray me like this? The two people I trusted the most. His voice cracked, the hurt more evident than the anger. Obi, filled with guilt, stepped forward. Nnamdi, it wasn't planned. I didn't mean for it to happen. But it just happened. Nnamdi let out a bitter laugh, shaking his head. It just happened? And you expect me to believe that? My own brother, my own blood? How could you do this? Chioma, tears streaming down her face, reached out to him. Nnamdi, I know what we did is unforgivable, but I still love you. I never wanted this to happen. I never meant to hurt you. Nnamdi's face twisted with pain as he looked at his wife, the woman he thought he knew. Love me? If this is what love is to you, then I don't want it. You no longer exist to me. Both of you. He turned his back on them, his shoulders slumped, the weight of their betrayal crushing him. I want nothing to do with either of you. With that, Nnamdi walked out of the house, slamming the door behind him. The sound echoed through the walls, leaving Chioma and Obi in stunned silence. Chioma stood there, shaking, as the full weight of what they had done hit her. Obi moved to comfort her, but she pulled away, too ashamed to face what they had become. He'll never forgive us, she whispered, her voice thick with regret. I know, Obi said quietly, his eyes downcast. And we don't deserve his forgiveness. The days that followed were filled with silence and shame. Nnamdi moved out of the estate and into the heart of Port Harcourt, staying with a friend, refusing to speak to either of them. Chioma remained at Elalenwo, the once grand estate now feeling empty and cold. The vibrant energy that once filled the house was gone, replaced by the heavy weight of guilt. Unable to bear the silence any longer, Chioma decided to confront Nnamdi. She found him at a small bar on the outskirts of town, sitting with a bottle of star lager, staring blankly into space. When she approached, his eyes met hers, but there was no warmth, no recognition. What do you want, Chioma? His voice was flat, devoid of the love that had once filled it. I came to apologize, Chioma said, her voice barely a whisper. I know it doesn't fix anything, but I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. Nnamdi looked at her for a long moment, his expression hard and unyielding. Sorry, he scoffed, shaking his head. Sorry won't change what happened. Sorry won't undo the betrayal. You broke my heart, Chioma. You broke our family. Tears welled up in her eyes as she stood before him, helpless. I know I did, and I'll never be able to forgive myself. But I need you to know that I regret it. Every second of it. Nnamdi sighed, his gaze drifting away. I loved you. I trusted you with everything. And you threw it all away for him. For my own brother. How do you expect me to move past that? Chioma had no answer. She knew that forgiveness, if it ever came, would be a long and painful journey. As she stood there, looking at the man she had once loved and betrayed, she realized they could never go back. The cracks in their relationship had shattered any hope of returning to what they once were. With a heavy heart, she turned and left the bar, walking into the humid Port Harcourt evening. The estate loomed in the distance, once a symbol of love and family but now a place marked by pain and betrayal. Chioma knew that, like the humid rains that swept through the city, the damage they had caused would be hard to wash away. The end. Thank you for watching, my dear friends. If you were moved by this story, don't forget to like this video and subscribe to our channel for more powerful and thought-provoking stories. And now, we want to hear from you. What advice would you give Chioma in this difficult situation? Please share your thoughts in the comments below. Your wisdom could help others facing similar struggles. Let's keep the conversation going. And as always, stay blessed.